Okay, so this is Computer Science 2021, question 16, the programming question, and this video is on part A. So, first of all, you're given this piece of code. Before you do anything, right, the first two things you want to do is on line number 2, there will always be a space for your exam number, so just make sure you enter your exam number, and then also save the file in the formatting that they request, which is they want it as so your exam number, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, for example, question 16 underscore A. Now again, will you lose marks if you don't do that? Probably not, but just be safe and do it anyway. Okay, so now we can actually do the questions. This question is all about anagrams and seeing and comparing words and phrases to see if they are anagrams of each other. So it says the Python program shown below tests whether the strings stored in the variables word1 and word2 are anagrams of each other and displays yes if they are. Two words are anagrams of each other if they both use exactly the same letters. For example, the words listen and silent are anagrams of each other. Elvis and lives are also anagrams. The function definition is anagram determines whether or not two words are anagrams of one another and will not be used until part 5. So that's this bit here. Okay, so when the program is run, the user is prompted to enter a word. If the user enters the word listen in uppercase, the output should look as follows because listen and silent are anagrams of each other. So when you're given a test run of the code, always run that test code they show you just to make sure that the program is working as it's intended to. So if I enter listen in all uppercase, I should get back yes. And I do. Okay, so the code is working. So that's okay. So part 1 then says, currently the value of the variable word2 is hard-coded to silent. We can see that here, right? And modify the program so that it prompts the user to enter the second word and then assign whatever value the user enters to the variable word2. So at the moment, right, word2, you're asked, right, we're asked, what do you want it to be? Word2, you cannot change, right? What we can do is if we literally just copy this code here, right? Okay, I'm not sure what happened there. Anyway, sorry, I'll just copy this. So input. And then if we get rid of silent, and then paste that in and just change second or first to second. And that's all there is to it pretty much. And one thing, this is a good thing to get into the habit of, is just flag it for the examiner, right? So just put in a comment saying this is your answer to part 1, just so that they know where to look when they're correcting. So then, if we run the program, so enter your first word, so listen, all uppercase, enter your second word, silent, all uppercase, and we should get back yes. Which we do. So that is part 1 done. And that was worth 5 marks out of 50. So part 2 then, if both words are entered are anagrams, the program should display the first word followed by the phrase is an anagram of, and then the second word. Okay, so instead of just saying yes, they want the phrase, for example, listen is an anagram of silent. So for that, we're going to be changing this down here. So if they are anagrams, right, we wanted to print word 1, whatever we choose to be word 1, right, followed by the phrase, so a string in quotation marks, is an anagram of, and then comma, word 2. And that should work. So then if we do our listen and silent again. Oh, I'm sorry, I forgot the second comma. There you go. Now we should be okay. So listen, silent. Listen is an anagram of silent. Perfect. So that's part 2 done, and that was also worth 5 marks. Next time I'll just put in as well my answer to part 2. Part 3, extend the program so if the words entered are not anagrams of each other, the program displays the first word followed by the phrase is not an anagram of, and then the second word. Okay. So what we can do is I'll go here, so I'll just put in again in my comment. It's going to be my answer to part 3. So if the program is, if the words are anagrams, do that, right? So if part 1 is false, right, then they must not be anagrams of each other. So instead of doing elif, you use else. So, and then print word 1 is not an anagram of word 2. So then the words they give us is list and array. So if we put in list and array, we should get back is not an anagram. It's not an anagram. Perfect. So that's part 3, and that was also 5 marks. So part 4, the program currently treats words as case sensitive. Modify the program so that the case of the words entered does not matter. Okay, so essentially what they're saying is, right, okay, yeah, the words are case sensitive. So for example, right, what that means is that the program is currently treating listen like that and listen. To the program, those two words are two different things, even though to me and you they look the same. Well, they don't look the same, but they are the same word. The program doesn't see that. So the question is, how do we fix that? So what if so the program will recognize this, right? That's not so bad, right? But anyway. So what if we force the program to see the word in uppercase, even if that's not how it's entered by the user? And that's exactly what we're going to do. So what I'm going to do is see in here, right, if sorted word 1, I'm just going to change that to word 1 dot upper with 2 brackets after it, right? And what that's going to do is no matter what or how the user enters word 1, Python will convert all the letters to uppercase. Okay? I'm going to do the same to word 2. So if Python reads in like listen, right, like that, it will print out or it'll run the program using this. That's what the dot upper function does. So then if we run the code, right, and use listen and silent with a capital L and a capital S, we should get back that they are anagrams of each other. Listen is an anagram of silent. And that is how we want it to work. So I'll just put in there as well, sorry, answer to part 4. So that is part 4 done, and that was 10 marks. Okay, so now part 5, we're bringing in here, this is anagram function. So extend the program to use the function is anagram to determine whether or not the two words entered are anagrams of each other. You should not delete any code you wrote in previous parts, and the program will now check twice if the words are anagrams of each other. So we're being asked to bring in this function up here, right? So we can do this very simply, right? So I'm not going to write the whole answer first, but essentially what we're going to do is we're going to be calling the function like this, right? So, sorry, is so is anagram, right? So putting is anagram with brackets, right? That's just going to call the function, right? What we're going to do is we're going to call the function like this. In the brackets, right, we're going to go word 1 and word 2. So why do that? The reason we do that is because See, okay, right, it says W1, W2 in brackets, right? And then W1, W2 down here. Having these in brackets here, it means that they're placeholders, right? So if I then change these placeholders, so instead of having W1 and 2, I put in word 1 and word 2. Wherever W1 is in this program, right? So here, if I call it like this, it will replace W1 with word 1. So my word from here. That's what me doing this means, right? But again, right, I want to do the same thing. I want to make them both uppercase so we avoid any errors. So upper. So now I can do that, right? And I can then carry on and do like the same like if else thing underneath this. But what I can actually do is I can incorporate this line here into my logic, right? So if I say if is anagram, what I have there, right? And then just put a colon. Because the way this is set up, right, if the words are anagrams, right, this returns a value of true. If not, they're false. So by saying if is anagram, that means that if is anagram is true, okay, print word 1 is an anagram of word 2. Else print word 1 is not an anagram of word 2. Okay, I'll just put sorry as well. For consistency, answer to part 5. So then if we run this, we should get the same result, but just twice. So if I put in again, listen and silent, get the same answer both times. So that is part 5, and that was 10 marks. Finally, then we have part 6. So it says anagrams of words can also be phrases. For example, moon starer is an anagram of astronomer, and voices rant on is an anagram of the two words conversation and conservation. Note the spaces in the phrases are ignored. That's going to be important in a minute. Extend the program so that it prompts the user to enter a phrase. The program should display 2 additional messages to say whether or not word 1 is an anagram of the phrase and whether or not word 2 is an anagram of the phrase. And some examples are shown. Okay, so we're going to go. And for this now, we're not using the is anagram function. This is just comparing them once. So answer to part 6, right? So first things first, we want the user to enter a phrase. So phrase is going to be input, same as above, enter a phrase. Okay, now the next thing we want to do is, right, it says here in the program, right, note that spaces in the phrases are ignored. So we want to ignore spaces, right? So how can we do that? Here's how we do it. So if I create a new variable, right, so we'll call it, right, phrases no spaces. So we're going to take the original phrase, we're going to go dot replace 2 brackets. So what's in these brackets will determine what's being replaced. So if I put in a space and I replace that with nothing per se, so what that means is that the program will scan through the phrase that I enter And wherever it sees a space, it will put in this, which is getting rid of that space. So that's what that line there is going to do. And then, so that's I suppose the most important bit there is that line. And then the rest of it is just the comparisons as normal that have been done up here. So if, actually, you know what, I might just, sorry about that. I might just copy this and just change it as I need to. So I'll get rid of this first. So if sorted word 1 is equal to sorted, I'll change it to phrase no spaces dot upper. Then print word 2 is an anagram of phrase because I want to print the original phrase as it was input. Else print word 1 is not an anagram of phrase. Then I'm just going to do this again. Let's space this out a bit actually. Do this again but for word 2. So if word 2 dot upper, word 2 and word 2. And that should work as intended. So if I run this, so it says, so I'm putting in listen and silent. Should get the same results as I got before. Okay, so enter a phrase then. So it says enter silence of the lambs. And I should get is not. Oh. Phrase no spaces is not defined. I made a typo somewhere. Right? Oh, phrase, sorry. Phrase no spaces. Okay, so now we should be okay if I've made no more spelling mistakes. So, silent and listen. Yeah, works fine. And then silence of the lambs is not. Okay. And then just to make sure we're definitely okay, I'll enter all 3 that they give me. So, first 2, then it gives me conversation and conservation. Conversation, just make sure I spelled them right. Yeah, I think I have. Is an anagram. And then they want me to put in voices rant on. Oh. I think my computer went through like some kind of a crash there. I'm not exactly sure what happened. Try that again. So, conversation and conservation. It's fine. And then we want voices rant on. Phrase no spaces is not defined. So I did the same thing twice today. Line 32. Phrase, oh, I made a typo twice. I fixed the typo with the typo. Okay, so now we should be working. Conversation. Conservation. Our anagrams. And then voices rant on. Our anagrams. Okay, and then I suppose, just because why not, we'll go with the last one. So, astronomer, and moon are obviously not anagrams, or they shouldn't be. They're not. And then moon starer. Oh. stare. So we should get is an anagram and is not an anagram. Perfect. So that is the final part of that question, and that was worth 15 marks. So that is part A, which was actually in this particular year, 2021, it was the only part you had to do. So that is the programming section done. So hopefully this has been helpful. And yeah, thanks very much, guys.